I'm your host, Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Back after a couple of days. I was a little under the weather, and you know how that goes, right? The summertime cold. My youngest son went back to school, and on Monday he said, I'm not feeling so well, and then next thing you know, I'm not feeling so well. Of course, my wife and my older son, matter of fact, right now, I don't know exactly where he's at. He's either in his dorm room or getting ready to head to his first college football practice as they left for him to start his freshman year at college. And it all just got on to me, right? It all just piled on, and been under the weather. Feeling a little better today. Appreciate Glenn. I know he did a great job, like he always does in my absence. Of course, today is Friday. So we got another edition of Fake News Friday. I want to remind everybody, last week, I won. So I just want everybody to know we're going to have Jason and Ramon and Glenn are all going to be with us. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. Of course, the website at allamericangold.com. I want to remind everybody up there on the Front Range, next weekend, we've got the big deal there at Grandpa's Pawn. Jason and Brian are going to be there live. We're going to do a remote. Make sure you come out and show out for Rod Topper's Pizza as well. All of you up on the Front Range, if you're getting pizza, order it from Topper's. Let them know that you support the people that support KHNC up there. They're going to give us a great deal. I know Rod's got some other vendors coming in. This thing is going to be off the chain. So make sure you do that. I know that's next Saturday from 11 to 3, so don't miss that. A lot of you already have been bringing that. Here's a chance, and all of us have it. You got that jewelry you don't wear anymore, but you don't know what to do. You don't know where to take it or who to trust. You want to get fair value for it. That's what Rod's going to do. One of the let's face it, all these things that they do there. But if you want to bring in your jewelry, your old jewelry, maybe you don't wear it anymore, it's broken, and turn it into cash, or maybe trade for one of Rod's products, or maybe trade it in, take the cash and buy some physical gold and silver from us. However you want to do it, make sure, I know this, it's going to be very, very busy there Saturday, so if you bring it Saturday, no worries. But they're probably not going to be able to get to everybody there on Saturday. But you can leave your products there with Rod. They'll call you when they've got it evaluated. And here's the great thing. You can always take it back with you. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to know, and head on your way, or do whatever you want with it. You still have time if you want to deliver it to us at the radio station at KHNC in Johnstown. We'll get it over to Rod before the event, and then when you get to the event, you'll know exactly what it is and what you want to do with it and all that stuff. And I know Jason and Brian have been talking about it on their show, and I'll remind you again all next week. But I just wanted to make sure, we got a new company, Topper's Pizza. Let's get behind these guys and let's show them the love as they're joining the KHNC, the growing KHNC nation out there. Hey, Glenn, are you with us?
I am with you, ready to go.
Hey, let me ask you this: Did you get your gun from Rod?
It's in the mail. It's on its way.
Okay, it takes a little bit. Jason, how's it going?
But I'm here and I'm ready to go. The event's going to be great on the 18th, and we're excited about what's going on in Colorado.
I know there's a little static. We're going to hopefully get that addressed here in between the breaks. We got a bunch of economic data, too. Not a bunch, but we had inflation data, wage data out, huge moves in currency markets that have everything under pressure. Wall Street's down a couple of 100 points. Big issues in emerging markets, particularly Turkey, now starting to boil over, spill over, whatever words you want to use, into Europe. The biggest thing is who owns all the Turkish debt, and we'll bring you up to speed. I was actually surprised. It's not just Europe. We hold a bunch of it. Japan holds a bunch of it. A lot of people do, so we'll bring you up to speed about what happened, what caused the market to react the way it did. today, and we'll do that after we do Fake News Friday. I know Glenn's going to try to stump us all, and it's been a lot of fun. I think this is a great new addition to the lineup, and we'll be doing this most every Friday. We're kicking around the idea. Maybe we'll figure out a way to get our customers involved in it as well. But then again, who knows? Maybe not. Having said all that, 800-951-0592, that is our toll-free number, the physical delivery of wealth insurance. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you start looking under the covers and we're starting to see almost like this bubble thing in Wall Street where all this news, they're trying to act like it doesn't matter. And now all of a sudden, at least today, it really matters a lot as to what's happening out there. Disastrous numbers out of Facebook. One of the things, as a matter of fact, Facebook and Netflix really have been hemorrhaging, and they're not. It hasn't been reflected yet, but Facebook down. The number of active users on Facebook down 50%. Yeah, do you think that may be a problem? Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll start with fake news when we return. Fake News Friday. Glenn, are you with us?
I'm ready to go. Are you ready for the
Let's
rules?
Go.
Rip from the headlines. 2 are true, 1 is fake. Your job is to figure out which one is fake. First story. Atlanta school removes Pledge of Allegiance from morning ritual. The principal said over the past couple of years it has become obvious that more and more of our community were not going to stand or recite the pledge. Story 2. McDonald's opens a 19,000 square foot restaurant in Chicago with 150 employees, 70 trees and shrubs inside, and 1,000 solar panels inside on top of the roof. And then story 3. Egypt's second Sphinx is found while excavating for road construction. The monument has a human face and a lion's body. So, is it story 1? Atlanta school removes Pledge of Allegiance. Story 2, McDonald opens a 19,000 square foot restaurant in Chicago. Or story 3, Egypt finds a second Sphinx. Okay, Ramon, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Sphinx there.
Okay, Ramon for the Sphinx. Okay, Jason, what do you think?
You know, I don't really know for sure, but I'm going to go with the second one, the McDonald's one. I think that's fake.
Okay, the McDonald's. All right. Okay, Jason for that. Double J, what do you think?
Well, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to agree with Jason. I'm going to go with the 19,000 square foot. That's a lot of square footage.
And not one plastic straw in the building, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to tell you right now, if you want a business out there, right, start hoarding plastic straws. I bet you're going to start killing it out there on eBay.
Black market.
All right, so here are our results. Story 3, Egypt finds a second Sphinx is a true story. And story 2, story 2, McDonald's opens a 19,000 square foot restaurant is also a true story.
What?
Nobody went for number 1. Now, here's how crazy things happen. Story 1, as of yesterday, was a true story, and then by this morning, it's turned fake. It was a charter school, and there was such a backlash that they had to back off of it, and now they're going to do the pledge every day. But they weren't going to do it, and once it hit the Drudge Report, and then it blew up on them. Okay, so that's round 1.
Once it became there in the media, then they had to back off of it.
That's right. Yeah, it blew up on them big time because they were going to lose funding for their school.
Did they say why? Why would you stop doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
Because they said air quotes, their community was not participating anymore, which means that the kids were opting out of things.
So now, what we got 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids now. What are they're protesting? What are they protesting? That they had to go to school?
I guess they're all taking a knee.
Yeah, take a knee for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, we ready for round 2?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Story 1. A Kansas City man was told that he could not vote while wearing his Make America Great hat again. When the man was told he could not vote, he became very belligerent and he had to leave. The man then called the Secretary of State's office and was told that he broke no law and then allowed to go vote. And so he got to vote. Okay, story 2. New Mexico compound busted where 11 children were being trained to commit school shootings. One of the adults arrested was Sahij Wahaj, is the son of a person of interest in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing and heads the Masjid al-Taqwa Mosque in Brooklyn, New York. And then story 3. The media boosts up security at Trump rallies as president ramps up enemy rhetoric towards the press. CNN has contracted with Blackwater, the infamous private military contractor, to provide armed security for Jim Acosta, a firebrand reporter loathed by Trump supporters. He will be transported to and from the rallies in an armored Humvee for his security, and Acosta was quoted as saying, "This is worse than reporting from a war zone." So is it story 1, Kansas City man told he couldn't vote wearing his Make America Great hat again? Story 2, New Mexico compound busted, 11 children trained to commit school shootings? Or story 3, media boost up security at Trump rallies as president ramps up enemy rhetoric towards the president? Ramon, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's CNN. I think they want to think they're that important, that they need to be escorted with armored tanks.
All right. Okay, you think story 3 is fake. Okay, 1 for number 3. Jason, what do you think?
I agree with Ramon. I think it's story number 3 that's the fake one.
Okay, Jason for 3. Double, what do you think?
Well, you know what? I actually think that I'm going to take a different slant on it. I agree with Ramon that CNN actually thinks that they need it, and so I think maybe that could be true. I'm going to go with number 1.
All right, number 1.
That would cause you not to be able to vote. So I don't know, but I'm going to go with number 1.
Oh, he got to vote. He got to go back to vote.
Oh, he did get to go. Okay, I didn't hear. So
yeah.
He did get to vote.
Yeah, he did get to vote after he went back.
Well, now I don't know what to do.
But he was not allowed to vote the first time.
I'm going to stay with number 1. I'm sticking with it. That was my original thought. I'm sticking to it. Number 1.
Okay. All right. Story number 2. New Mexico compound busted where 11 children were trained to commit school shootings is a true story. That actually happened. And that the mainstream media has not picked up on that story because they don't want to touch it because the wrong people are the terrorists in that story. So they don't want to touch it. Okay. Story number 1, Kansas City man told he could not vote while he was wearing a Make America Great hat again, and then he got to vote. That is also a true story. So, Ramon and Jason, you all were right.
And who was wrong?
I believe Joe was wrong.
Joe was wrong?
I think Joe was wrong.
Last week. I've been sick. I've been under the weather, and it was a trick question.
No, the only trick question was how hard I had to make number 3 the false story. All that stuff about now. Look, CNN would never contract with Blackwater because that's Betsy DeVos, the education secretary. That's her brother's company, and they hate her. There's no way they'd spend any money to help her out. You know.
See.
So, yep.
I just felt
that's a good one.
What CNN has been, and it's so funny. The reason why the people are angry with them is they go out on TV and they just talk crap about Trump and Trump supporters. Then they show up to the Trump rally. What do they think what do they think's gonna happen?
I don't know.
You're on national TV trashing us and trying to paint us as what evil human beings because we don't believe in your liberal bull crap. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're smelly Walmart shoppers. That's what they call us. All right, I've got a round 3. I got a round 3 if you want to go.
Let's do it.
They get better. All right. Okay, story 1. Yeah, this is a good one. Alcohol consumption down for young people, a study confirms. According to a recent study of 50,000 adolescents from 1993 until 2017, in 1993, 92% of young adults had admitted to drinking as opposed to 85% in 2017. The trend is seen as what's called as millennial disruption. The generation of 20 to 30-year-olds that is cable TV by cord cutting is not buying cars, and now it's not drinking alcohol. And now story number 2. Yesterday at the Pentagon, Vice President Pence called for the creation of the U.S. Space Force as another full branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. And one of the proposals was to bring back the retired space shuttle fleet and then arm them with side-facing lasers to engage terrestrial targets from low orbit or also satellite attack. The side-facing lasers would be similar to the current AC-130 gunship used by the Air Force in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then story number 3, a new video dance challenge is going viral called the Drake In My Feelings or Kiki challenge, and people are videoing themselves exiting moving vehicles to dance to the popular song, and this has led to injuries, and police have put out there, you got to stop doing this because you're going to get hurt. So the story 1, alcohol consumption is down for young people. Story 2, creation of the Space Force and bringing back the Space Shuttle fleet as weapons. Or story 3, the new video dance craze, the Drake In My Feelings or Kiki challenge. Ramon, what do you think?
Well, I have seen the video of those rather smart people dancing and then on the side of the car and then falling down and then me laughing for a long, long time afterwards watching that. So I know that's real. Okay. I want to say, though, I want to say the Space Force because that reminds me too much of I know they're going to do a Space Force, but I don't know about the lasers. It reminds me too much of Spaceballs.
Okay, so Ramon's down for story 2.
Only one man would dare give me the raspberry. Bar.
That's good. Jason, what do you think?
I think it's story number 2. Brian and I actually have covered a couple of times that there's actually a helium-3 on the moon, and that would become like an energy that could be, one tractor-trailer truck full of helium-3 could power the entire United States for a year. And the Federal Reserve, who controls us economically, they don't want that. So I'm thinking, why have a Space Force and actually explore? That would be a threat to those in power. I think it's number 2.
Why is it when Jason speaks, I want to play the X-Files theme all the time?
I love it. I love it.
It scares me. It really does.
The truth is out there.
Yes.
I will say this: be a big contributor to Out There TV. That's for sure. I'm gonna. You know what? Here's the funny thing is I'm also going to say the Space Force because yes, they want a Space Force. I don't know about weaponizing the space shuttle as my reason because I'll say this: speaking for my older son and my younger son, I agree. Drinking's down. These kids today. They don't drink nearly as much as I did when I was in high school and college. At least either that or they're just way better liars to me and my wife. So I think that's true. I'm gonna go with the Space Force.
Okay, well, gentlemen, all 3 of you are correct. That is the fake story, and I had a lot of fun coming up with bringing back the space shuttles. Now, how cool would that be, though, if we could bring back the space shuttles? And a space shuttle door gunner. That would be awesome. But, yeah, story 1 is true. And, Ramon, you're exactly right. I've been watching those videos myself and laughing hysterically at these idiots that are falling out of cars.
It is fun.
Oh, my God.
There's one where a cop falls out of the car, and he jumps back in, and his glasses are all cockeyed on his head. That's hilarious. I'm sure he got in trouble on that one because it's gone totally viral. And it's actually the only funnier ones than that are the videos now where the parents are taking the Fortnite games away from the kids and making funny videos about that. That's great. So, but yeah, there's our fake news for Friday.
Another great episode of Fake News Friday. Glenn, I tell you what, you're doing a great job. I don't know how, like Glenn said, it's actually harder coming up with the fake stuff than it is the real stuff. So. Good work, Glenn. I appreciate all the hard work that you put into it. I don't know about you guys. I'm having a lot of fun with that, though. It is amazing to think about how hard it is when you listen to these stories and we're going back and forth and we're trying to figure out which one is fake and which one isn't. I mean, you almost can believe anything now. I mean, it's gotten that ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the American culture is being shoveled so much garbage on a daily basis that you start to look around. There's hardly any truth to find. So it's basically what garbage you prefer to look at. I
agree, and you know what, Jason, I am with you about the X-Files stuff. I want to believe as well. And I'm there. And Ramon, if you can find that Drake song for one of the bump musics today, that would be perfect.
I shall begin my search.
God. No, listen now. If we play the song, okay, this is just a disclaimer. Unless you're Eric, nobody get out of their car and run alongside it while it's moving. Okay? Now, Eric, if you're listening, you go ahead. Everybody else stay in your vehicle. You know, it's like at the amusement park. Keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. I think we're covered now.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily look at the significant issues of our time from an experienced conservative perspective. Sponsored by Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, this broadcast continues the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly and stands against those that mock traditional values, slander America, and redefine the family. Now, here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
People all over our nation and beyond have contracted debilitating cases of a new illness called TDS. No, this is not a global outbreak of some new virus, although it seems to have people just as panicked. I'm talking about Trump derangement syndrome. From attacking strangers in Make America Great Again hats to climbing up the Statue of Liberty, Trump derangement syndrome is bringing out the craziness of the left. And the more President Trump wins, the crazier their symptoms get. On Independence Day, most rational Americans chose to spend their holidays celebrating with their families. However, that is not what Therese Okomo decided to do. She and some with a protest group called Rise and Resist decided to go to the Statue of Liberty and protest against the president. Therese then decided that she was going to climb up the base of the statue, and she refused to come down. Not only was this a federal crime, but it forced the statue to completely close down and the island to be evacuated on one of the busiest days of the year. That's a classic case of Trump derangement syndrome. Another person suffering greatly from this illness is a woman named Bridget Delaney. Delaney publishes columns for The Guardian. In one of her columns, she claims that Donald Trump has made her too weak to open a jar of pickles. Allegedly, she did not like the fact that the gym she frequented was owned by a Trump supporter, so she swore off working out for the whole time Trump is in office. She attributes this peculiar protest to the fact that she can no longer lift bags of groceries or open stubborn jars. Of course, she blames Trump. Really, it's a very sad case of TDS. The left just doesn't get it. They'll do anything and say anything to make Trump look bad, no matter how crazy it sounds to normal people. Whenever we can, conservatives should try to help those victims of TDS. And we should take heart in knowing that while we are making the economy soar and unemployment plummet, the left can't even open a jar of pickles.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Do you like what you see at the Trump White House? Will President Trump continue to advance conservative ideals? At phyllisschlafly.com, you gain complete access to Phyllis Schlafly Eagles news updates and commentaries and can track our work on Capitol Hill. Go online often to phyllisschlafly.com. And thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Cause I want you, and I need you, and I'm down for you always, KB. Do you love me? Are you
Remain in the vehicle at all times. I know I've seen it. I did not know that was the song that was playing when they do that, but thank you for that, Ramon. We are on the cutting edge. We know what's going on out there. Speaking of what's happening today, so we've had a very, very interesting market out in play today. Gold has pretty much ignored it, but the Dow is down triple digits as the president has ramped up tariffs on Turkey. And of course, Turkey, I guess we could call them an ally. They are kind of part of NATO, and we've had a very tenuous relationship with them. And I was trying to remember, what is it that was going on with Turkey that had us all upset? And I guess they're holding a number of Americans. One of them is a pastor of some sort, and I apologize, I don't know all the details, but when there was a coup in Turkey, well, I should say an attempted coup a couple of years ago. It didn't work. They arrested all kinds of people, including these Americans, and the president wanted Turkey to release them. The pastor's name is Andrew Brunson.
and they want him to be released immediately, and Turkey is not doing it. And apparently this is that, and I guess, and I will say this, they did buy a bunch of aircraft and missiles from the Russians last week. So the president now has raised tariffs to 50% on steel and 20% on aluminum out of Turkey. And I don't know that they must provide a lot of it because the Turkish lira is down 40% in the last several months, and now people are worried about Turkey's ability to handle their debt and service their debt. The largest holder of Turkish debt is the Spanish banks, the French banks, the Italian banks, the U.S. banks, and then the Japanese banks. So they actually, everybody's going to be taking a big bite out of Turkey. And again, this is very similar to the rhetoric, if you will, that, hey, you know what, we've got the ability to make life horrible for these countries, and they're going to do what we want them to do because, you know, why go through all of this? And so far it hasn't worked. Same kind of thing happening in China, and I just feel, again, that at least in the case of Turkey, I don't think they're going to bend anytime soon. But that's really what has the markets all crazy today. The dollar, and here's something interesting. Gold is actually really, it's up 20 cents right now. The dollar is up 70 basis points. It's almost up a full point, 96.30, which is the highest I've seen the dollar in response to this, because all emerging market currencies now are under pressure, and then the euro's under pressure because they hold the largest amount of Turkish debt. And again, this is the problem. The whole world's painted in debt. This is why you put some gold away. Listen, we want the stock market to rally. We do. I want GDP to go up. I want wages to go up. I don't want this to be a stagflationary cycle, but let's face it. They've tried to solve a debt problem by issuing more debt and then pretending that they fixed it by mispricing the debt. Right? And obviously, right, well, you know, here's what we can do. Let's bring rates to zero. Let's have negative rates. I mean, that's deliberately mispricing the risk. And now, all of a sudden, things took an interesting turn today. We had two pieces of economic data out, one on inflation, one on wages. And I'll just give you the details. Well, the rest of the economy pointed higher in July. Now, of course, this is CNBC. So I don't know about the rest of the data pointing higher. Most of the data in July that we cover has been down. Housing, autos, right? The big stuff's been down. American workers took a step backwards in July. Hourly and weekly earnings declined when you factor in the rise of the cost of living, according to the Labor Department. Average hourly earnings decreased 0.2% over the month and increased only fractionally from the same time a year ago. Now, here's the thing. We've been saying this all along, and it's something that I will be proven out to be right. This is a stagflationary economy, which is the pay that we're receiving is not keeping up with the cost of the things that we need to survive. And of course, and remember, they actually get to control what the inflation number is, and we know that even the numbers that they reported are at least twice as high as what they really say they are. They said average hourly earnings were unchanged over the month and were actually 2 cents lower than in 2017. The reading came after they saw a rise of core inflation. Matter of fact, core inflation. Now, this is the one where the Federal Reserve is supposed to be 2%. Okay, they don't care about any other real number. They don't care about actual inflation. Matter of fact, they don't care about actual inflation to the point that they don't even report it. They don't care about the inflation when you have food and energy. They only care about this core number. It was up 0.2 in the month, up 2.4% year over year. So when you look at real wages, down 2 cents, core inflation up 2.4%. You see what I'm saying, right? This is not a recipe for growing wages. The decline puts real wages at their worst levels since October of 2012. It was the real wage story that caught the attention. Of course, this took the Dow down another leg because now it really is cementing in the Fed's behind, right? Inflation is running hotter. They got to raise rates more and more. And I think this is starting to become a story where before they were at least telling you, well, wages are rising too, so it's okay. At least for this month, wages, not only did they not rise, wages actually headed in the wrong direction. And here was the bad part. The leading causes of inflation. Number one was cost of living for your home. Whether you're renting or buying, that was the number one. I'll go over all the ones that were higher when we return. Welcome back, 800-951-0592. Finishing out the week, the last 3 or 4 days, we've been running the same because the best things we have, the U.S. $5 Liberty gold pieces at $340, fractional material, just great way to be into the gold market. Premium was way down. I mean, you're talking about a savings at $340. You're looking at a savings on those $5 Liberties of like $25 a coin. So it's a big savings. Make sure you put some of that away. And then, of course, the silver rounds. And just so you know, these are all 1 ounce silver. It's just like a Silver Eagle with one difference. The difference, obviously, the Silver Eagle, the government mints them, right? So a lot of people like that because they're like, hey, it's got to be authentic. It's the government's minted it. But just know this: the rounds, these are coming from the same suppliers that actually supply the silver to the government. So these things are the real deal. They come 20 in a roll. Here's the difference. $340 for 20 Silver Eagles, for 20 ounces of Silver Eagles versus the U.S. Silver Eagles at $375. It's too big of a gap. Normally, and you know me, we don't like to stray too far away from U.S. government material. But when the gap gets this big, I have a hard time. All right, I want you to get as much as you can for the least amount of cost to you as possible. I mean, that's really the name of the game when you're talking about preserving your wealth and getting prepared for what is coming. Right, we're all taking a bite, and we're seeing it. Right, we're seeing. You think about Greece, which we don't talk about anymore. Everyone's miserable there. That hasn't ended. Look at Venezuela and how horrible things are there. And then you look today, we talked about Italy, but really Italy's on the verge. Spain is on the verge. All of these countries, we called them the pigs back during the crisis, right? Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Spain, right? Greece, right? The pigs, they're all in the same. Nothing really got fixed. Today, now we're seeing Turkey blow up, right? We're watching Japan struggle with their auctions, and we're really just in the heart of this debt super cycle. The CBO, again, while I was sick, came out with another report. Now they're saying the debt is going to be double the size of GDP, and they're saying 2048. So if the CBO is saying 2048, what's the real number? 2035, 2030? As it is, and I'm telling you, and I haven't changed it we're going to have a $40 trillion debt here by 2027. And you start thinking about, GDP right now is only 20 trillion. Obviously by 2027 it'll be a little bit higher than that. But now we're looking at inflation. Here was the actual numbers. What we'll say is the CPI, that's the Consumer Price Index. Again, the Fed doesn't care about this number. Okay, that's 2.9%. Then you exclude what they call the volatile food and energy, and that's what they get the so-called core, which was 2.4%. But you have to remember in this CPI, that 2.9, all the BS that the Federal Reserve does to make this number appear as low as it is, right? We talk about, like I said today, housing was the number one culprit, but they use rent equivalent, right? We don't even know what that means, right? They don't use actual rent. They don't use actual cost of mortgages and monthly mortgage payments because those would make it too high, right? They use substitution. Well, if beef's expensive, they'll buy pork or this or that, right? All these things to mislead us. And that number still, it's 2.9. They tell us their target's 2%. That's 50% greater than what they told us they wanted. And yet they're out there, it's fine. We're going to raise rates, but it's going to be gradual. We're not too worried. We're not going to overreact because it's higher. Look at what happened when it was lower. We didn't overreact. And I'm like, what do you mean? You brought rates to zero and you did quantitative easing 1, 2, 3, twist, retwist. I mean, you talk about overreaction. And then on the other side, they do nothing. Why? Because they don't care about you. They don't care about me. All they care about is the banks and their stock price. That's it. Even the core number, 2.4%. That is the largest number since 2008. And then you start thinking about really what's happening. What's the one thing that we know has been happening? The size of the debt is multiplying. While I was sick, we got a new debt number for the first 10 months of the year. We now hit $700 billion, and we still got a couple months to go. Already are taking out all the debt we have compiled last year, and now we're starting to see the cause, right? We got the printing presses running and all of the debt that they printed, and they told us wasn't going to affect us, and now we're seeing that prices are rising across the board. And here's what led the rise in the CPI. Number one was housing, right? People got to get in a roof all over their head, causing more and more heartache. Used cars and used trucks, followed by, guess what? New cars and new trucks all got more expensive. Raw materials got more expensive. Food prices were higher. Gasoline prices were higher. Owner equivalent of rent of primary residence, by the way, I guess that's the official title, that was higher as well. Overall, the cost of shelter up 3.5% in the last 12 months. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. $800-951-0592. We've done in the past where we've used new cars, right? According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, of course, they use the model that is given to them by the Federal Reserve, how there's been no inflation on new cars. New report out. This is Wolf Richter. The guy does great work. Wolf Richter just does fantastic research out there. He went back through the CPI, which we just talked about, and all the way back to 1994. According to the government and the Federal Reserve, this is what we have to believe. 0. That is the amount of inflation for used cars and trucks since 1994. according to the absurdity that the BLS says that because of what they call quality adjustments. So just like we've got rent equivalent in the car space, we have quality adjustments. See, we think that the cars are better, so therefore, even though it costs more, we'll pretend like it's not inflationary, right? Because let's face it, unfortunately for all of us, we can't go to the car dealer and say, I'd like the car without the quality adjustments. Can I get that one? I know you want $35,000 for the car, but I want the one without the quality adjustments, the one that's only $5,000. Can I have that one instead? And of course, we know that's not true. You can't. And their quote, and here's the quote, and I think this is important. Such as, so what are quality adjustments? Reliability, right? Very hard to define. How do we define reliability? Durability is on the list, okay? Again, how do we define durability, right? If you take care of your car, and I don't care if it was a car from 1960, 1970, 1980, or today, if you change the oil, you take care of it, you don't do dumb stuff with it, it will last. Safety, right? So, hey, well, it's got an airbag now, right? It's got this or that. Fuel economy. Yep, see? Car costs more, and the gasoline that you put in the car costs more, but you know what? You get an extra, and let's face it, what are we talking about? A couple miles a gallon, right? I mean, maneuverability. Yeah, that's on the list. I don't know what that means. I guess you can power steering. I don't know. Power steering been around a long time. Speed is on the list. Does that mean what, the cars go slower or faster? I'm not sure. Acceleration, deceleration, carry capacity. Now, I don't know what the heck they're talking about in carry capacity. You go back to the cars of the 70s and 80s, these things were tanks. I mean, these things were enormous. You could fit 4 dead bodies in my dad's old Buick. Comfort and convenience. So just in case you wanted to know, the reason why there is no inflation in cars, and this is the same for both new and used cars. That's why. Patriot Radio News Hour. You learn something every time. Great another day. Fake News Friday. Everybody enjoy the weekend. We'll be back on Monday.